there, good morning. My name is Pastor Jason Allums, pastor of the Vincent Revival Center. Thank you so much for joining us today on our YouTube page. I am joined today by one of our associate pastors, Pastor Jason White.
Yep. Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well today. I'm excited to continue our conversation today.
Absolutely. And also in the room with us, if you're watching this live, Aaron Limbaugh, who also serves with Pastor Jason on his team, is behind the camera and on the computer right now. So if you would like to jump on the chat session and leave a comment, talk to us a little bit, ask a question, whatever you would like to do, we receive your comments as we continue to build this online community that is even outside of our church. So thank you so much for joining us. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. We call this the Influence on Tuesdays, and that is how the influence happens. And we use this part of our ministry and this channel to talk about hot button issues, to talk about current events. We get into theology at times. Really nothing's off the table in terms of the world in which we live in. Which brings us to our topic today, which is going to be a part 2 of what we started last Tuesday, as we are examining the Iran war of 2026. And the reason I wanted to say 2026 is to kind of time stamp this, so if you come back and watch this in an archive, years later, you can have a reference point of why we are talking about Iran in this particular moment right now. So again, if you want to see the first part of this teaching, because this is just simply a continuation of this one thought, then I encourage you to go back to last Tuesday and rewatch that message. So let's begin here. We're going to pick up where we left off. And essentially where we left off is this: how might Christians look at this Iran war? How should Christians pray in these tragic and potential huge days in Iran and the Middle East, from a end times contextual side of things, but also just in terms of the human loss of things and in the context of history. Yeah. So why Iran? What is Iran? Has it always been Muslim? Okay, has it always just been Islamic? The answer is no. So what we want to do today is to kind of go backwards to understand the historical significance of the Persian people, specifically in Iran, and how it's different than, say, the people in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia are Arabs. The people in Iran are not Arabs. They are Persians. And it's two different people groups. Yes, they're both Muslims. That's because Muhammad and his followers colonized them. So it would be very, in the same way that England colonized America, right, with the Mayflower landing at Plymouth Rock. Well, us white people, Europeans, we're not native to North America. We're from Europe. The people who were native to America were the Native American Indians. Yeah. And so that
Cherokees, Creeks, Choctaws, all those tribes.
And so if you understand that, then you understand what has happened in Iran. They're Persians. Yeah. And so,
and this is nothing new, in mine and your lifetime, because we're almost the same age. We've seen the conflict in Iraq multiple times, Kuwait, with that being involved, Afghanistan after 9/11. So, but we've seen to see this more in the Middle East, throughout the last few years, and I'm afraid, or not afraid, but before Christ comes back, we'll continue to see issues there in the Middle East.
Yeah, the Islamic faith is a death cult.
Yep.
I mean, you read the Quran, if you can read it. I mean, it's very hard to read and understand because it flows weird. But pretty much everything in there is you convert to Islam
or die,
or you are killed. I mean, it literally has verses in the Quran that says, the rock will cry out, hey, there's a Jew over here. Come kill him. Yeah. I mean, so
the jihad.
Yeah. So the reason there's always conflict there is because they're always trying to kill people. And so, I don't want to die personally. I don't want to die, and I definitely don't want to be Islamic. And so
there's a conflict.
There's a conflict.
Yeah.
All right. So let's look at the Persian people and the people of God. So Iran is the fairly recent name. Listen to what I just said. Iran, in the context of history, is the fairly recent name of the ancient civilization known as Persia, which plays a very, very large role in Scripture. The name Persia appears almost 30 times across 5 books of the Old Testament. Let that sink in for a second. This is a people group that has been interconnected with the Jewish people for many, many, many centuries before Muhammad ever came on the scene in 600 AD and before the conquest of the Persian people of Iran. Pastor Jason, will you take it from there?
Yeah, so for the first covenant people of God, Persia emerged as a liberator from their exile in Babylon. The Persian king Cyrus the Great issued the proclamation that freed the Jews to return home and rebuild the temple.
And on that note, in Iran today, there is a statue of Cyrus the Great, of where he's buried. And people are gathering there over the last many years, and the numbers keep growing and growing to celebrate the pre-Islamic conquest of Persia, to recognize that their roots as a people predate Islam.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, so, and you find that a lot in 2 Chronicles, chapters 36, Ezra, you see it in Daniel, but anyway, in his wake followed kings, in Cyrus's wake followed kings Darius, Xerxes, and Artaxerxes, who ruled over the post-exilic lives of Daniel, Ezra, Nehemiah, and Esther. So, I don't know if you realize that when you read those books, but the backdrop is Persia.
It is. Iran, modern day Iran.
That's right. That's
Same people.
Same people. So as the world watches Iran, Christians look on with another set of eyes. In a manner reminiscent of how God once stirred up the spirit of Cyrus, He has stirred the hearts of many Persians against the Muslim regime, especially in the last few decades. An annual, and this is what Pastor Jason just mentioned, an annual gathering in late October at Cyrus's tomb has grown to tens of thousands who rally to remember Persia's pre-Islamic past. And then you have the Shiite Muslim regime. They came to power in 1979, following the nation's frustration with its Shah, I believe is how you say that, their king at the time, and his oil money, personal excesses, friendships with the West, and modernizing efforts.
And so the history of the 20th century Persia/Iran could go on at great lengths. But relevant to our immediate Christian interest is the widespread disillusionment of Islam, and especially so with Iran. Disillusioned with Islam, the present conflict comes in the wake of a movement that's been gaining steam for many years and is part of a larger restlessness. Operation World reports that Iran alone, listen to this, 50,000 mosques have been closed in recent years as Iranians are disillusioned with both the regime and Islam, and that the younger generation is fed up with the legacy of oppression, bloodshed, cruel justice, corruption, economic hardship, and cultural isolation from most of the world. So let me translate what that is saying, is that in Iran, part of their freedom exercise or expression is to burn down a mosque.
Doesn't that, man, that speaks so loudly of how they feel.
Right. It's like, I want to be free. So what am I going to do to be free? What is the expression of my freedom? I'm going to burn that mosque down because the mosque represents my oppression. And they have closed 50,000, is it 50,000?
Yeah, 50,000.
50,000 mosques have been closed because nobody is attending the mosque. The part that is so underreported in our mainstream media, just woefully underreported, is the fact that Islam has lost its grip on the Persian people. Now, obviously, it's still majority Muslim. That's not what I'm referring to. but it's lost its grip on it. So another way of relating this to our world is in the northern New England part of the United States of America. Those are the states of Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont. You could say that the basic foundational biblical teaching has lost its grip on that culture up there. You could say the same thing because many churches have closed in the northern New England area. Many churches.
Yeah, just vacant buildings.
Yeah. In fact, there's a whole market of real estate to just sell churches. And so people are selling churches. They're turning them into offices. They're turning them into houses, into other shops, different things like that, because Christianity has lost its grip on northern New England.
Yep.
But in Iran, Islam has lost its grip on the Persian people.
Yeah, so according to Mindy Bells, the trend was undeniable even a decade ago. An estimated 2 to 7 million Muslims, listen to that, and once, like Pastor Jason said, it's underreported. An estimated 2 to 7 million Muslims have converted to Christianity since the start of the 21st century. And it's cool, a lot of them you hear are having dreams. That's probably not the only way, but a lot of them have dreams. And there's this man in a white robe, come on, and it's Jesus.
Yeah.
And he's waking them up spiritually, and they're converting. What an awesome story. But you don't hear it. But anyway, let me stick to the stuff. They occur in all parts of the Muslim world, including areas most hostile to Christianity, like Afghanistan and Iran. More than 80% of such movements began after 9/11. In the last decade, the trend has continued and accelerated, particularly in Iran. And I think, PJ, this also reminds me that, you know, even if people are bound, for a lack of a better word, in a religion, but they recognize something like 9/11 and they see the evil of it, it's like it still wakes them up for them to say, you know what? This is not right. Whether I've been Islamic or a Muslim my whole life, and I see the effects of what this religion is doing, like acts of 9/11 and other terrorism acts, this is not right. And so that opens people's eyes to even question, you know, their religious background of their traditions and who they've been their whole life. You know, and I'm so glad to see that people still aren't so dead that they can't recognize that.
That's right. You know, and there, just like over the centuries, at one time Europe was the primary hub of Christianity.
That's right.
From Europe, missionaries was sent out around the world and evangelized the world. Okay. And then as Europe began to die spiritually, America became the hub of Christianity, and God blessed us economically, and we became the sending out nation to evangelize the world. All right? I do feel like because of the disillusionment of America and the post-Christian worldview in many parts of America, you know, you could see a time where Africa could become that sending hub, that Africa could begin to be that place where Christianity begins to grow, or South America begins to grow from a Christian standpoint, and a place like Iran.
That's right.
You know, there could be the seeds of something happening in Iran among the Persian people who have went through the Islamic bloodshed and the Islamic torture and have said, you know what, this can't be right. You know, what they do to women, what they do to a 19-year-old wrestler who just simply says, you know, speaks out against the regime, and they kill him, they execute him, 19 years old, for no crime at all. At a certain point, it begins to wake you up and say, you know what, this isn't right. So I could see something like that happening. So there's a pastor. Do you want to say his name?
Yeah, I'll try it. It's Afshin Zayafet.
That's close enough. He's a contributor to Desiring God who lived in Iran until the age of 6. And he wrote in 2019 these words: As of 1979, there were about 500 known Christians from a Muslim background in Iran. In 2005, it was estimated that there were 40,000 ethnic Iranian Christians, not including ethnic minority Christians who live in Iran. That number grew to about 175,000 Christians in 2010. Today, the average estimates of Christians within our range from 300,000 to upwards of 1 million, according to some mission experts. More Iranians have become Christians in the last 20 years than in the previous 1,300 years since Islam came to Iran. That is a stunning, stunning turn of events, especially since it has happened while evangelism, conversion, and owning or distributing the Bible in Farsi has been illegal. According to Operation World, massive numbers of Iranians have come to Jesus in recent years. From only 500 Muslim background believers in 1979, some estimates suggest the number is even greater than 1 million just in Iran alone. Large numbers of Persian people have also encountered the risen Christ outside of Iran. One of our good friends is Ramin Parsa. He is from Iran. He speaks to this. He says these numbers are true. He has family that has been persecuted in Iran during this Iran conflict, and he would absolutely validate these numbers and say that large numbers of Iranians are turning to Jesus. In fact, he was one of the guys who would go to Cyrus's statue whenever he was growing up in Iran. So I believe these numbers are true.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And we believe it's going to continue to keep happening. So Zayafat updated his congregation briefly a few Sundays ago that present developments feel very momentous. For 47 years, the people of Iran have been under the oppressive Islamic regime since 1979. Some of the most hospitable, sweet, kind people, I mean this is what he's saying, that you will ever meet in life are Persians. And so I really want to make sure you separate the government of Iran from the people of Iran in your mind. And the people of Iran have been tired of this Islamic regime. This could be a very momentous occasion if it leads to a regime change, not just for freedom's sake, but for also for the sake of the church. And so that was his words.
Yeah. And so the way we'll start to wind this down today is we are truly living in the end times. I believe that. Yep. And if you go back and watch part 1 of this, we speak to that a little bit more. But to sum it all up, revival, wars, famines, all of the signs that Jesus laid out, all of these signs that the apostles laid out are around us. And so what is our take of it then? Exactly what you're seeing in Iran. Our take is to build the church. Our take is to occupy until He comes. Our take is to teach, disciple, preach, baptize, send, give, pray, give our life to the gospel in the marketplace, work, pay your tithes. It's to do that. And then when Jesus comes, then He catches us doing the work of the ministry. And that's where we land this plane. So I believe that what's happening in Iran, the war that's taking place, I believe there is a divine touch of God in it somewhere. And I do believe that good things are happening. Even though it's hard to see it sometimes, right. I do believe good things are happening. So I hope that this has encouraged you. Do not be fearful in these days that we live. Hey, hold on to your Bible, read the Word, pray to God, trust but verify, and it's okay to, test the spirits. And so with that being said, thank you so very much for joining us today. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and come back next Tuesday, and we will have another live stream that we call The Influence. God bless.